So the problem is the following. Many of you are saying that, hey, Dan, I wasn't able to connect well with my interviewer. It was basically a transaction. They just took notes. I gave them my answers. They hardly even looked at me, and we moved on. In my opinion, this is not really a good sign. Primary reason for this being that if you don't understand how the conversation evolves, then you cannot change its course. So if you did something wrong, you had no chance to fix it. And to give another example, many bar raisers are actually intentionally avoiding to connect well with their candidates because they know there's a high risk of them becoming biased towards liking a candidate. And from my experience, yes, it's very common for an interviewer to give a higher decision instead of no higher decision simply because they connected very well, they liked the candidate, right? So it's very important that you connect with your interviewer. Now, what is some interesting advice on how to improve your chances to connect with your interviewer? And in my opinion, it all starts with you acknowledging that there is a tendency that in a job interview, it's perfectly good advice to be a high energy candidate, but not high energy in the sense that you want to unknowingly dominate the conversation and to literally dominate your interviewer. For example, if you cut them halfway through their question and give them, yeah, I know what you mean, let me answer it, that's the type of behavior they will not appreciate. Or there are all sorts of behaviors that make you look like you're maybe unknowingly trying to dominate the conversation. And instead, the best advice, the best approach that I can give you here, if you know that you might be this type of person, is to show as vulnerable. Vulnerability sells quite well in today's jobs interviews. Why would this be? Well, primarily because if you show as a vulnerable candidate, not only you exhibit their curiosity more often than not, but you also unknowingly say that, hey, I have the courage to say that I'm imperfect, right? So not that the ideal candidate ever exists for any type of job, but you acknowledge. And in my opinion, you have a much better shot at starting a conversation and a better connection between you and your interviewer. There's a ton of research about this, and I also recommend you to watch Brené Brown's TED Talk. It has over 50 million views. And overall, I think that vulnerability is something that it's of course easier said than done, but I think you should consider this quite seriously, even for a virtual on-site primarily, because although it's not easy to show as a vulnerable person, it's of course counterintuitive. I believe there's many advantages to this, and looking back at some of the candidates that I coached in the past, there's a very interesting trend I found that yes, there is a tendency for these rather vulnerable candidates to do better in these jobs interviews. So hopefully you found this advice useful, and thank you very much for watching.